So I'm going to go over briefly the ideas that I want to bring together for this series, brand new for me. I think I'm very excited to be sharing this odd hodgepodge of things with you. But first, I want to start by setting our first ritual circle or circle. So rituals, so this makes a little more sense, can be internal and meditative as well as action shaped. So if you wouldn't mind sitting well, which means find your sits bones and sit on them. Don't sit in front of them or on your tailbone. Bring your shoulders over your hips. Tuck your chin to bring your head back a tiny bit and lengthen the back of your neck. Find your feet on the floor. Connect the soles of your feet to the earth. And for just a moment, settle into this beautiful structure. Now broaden or widen your inner vision and see yourself sitting in the center of a circle. Shouldn't be too small, but it needn't be grand either. It also doesn't have to be contained by the physical walls of your room. See, feel that circle. See, feel yourself sitting in its center. And then cast your mind to your left and invite all of your ancestors to join your circle on the left side. It is your older siblings, aunts and uncles, parents, grandparents, great aunts and uncles, great grandparents, all the way back, as Juan Lee says, all the way back to the monkeys in the trees. Just give them a breath or two to gather and join you here. Wonderful. Allow them to keep coming, keep settling in. You don't have to orchestrate or control every moment. Now cast your inner vision, your mind to your right, and invite into the right side of your circle your descendants, your children, nieces and nephews, any people that you have mentored or befriended who will reach into the generation after you, and their children and nieces and nephews, and their children's children, children's children's children, and beyond into the future as far as we can, our mind's eye, reach. Allow them to gather and join you in your circle. Beautiful. And then behind you, invite behind you into the back of your circle, your teachers. This is all or any of your teachers, from your first grade teacher up through college, high school, random neighbors who mentored and taught you, as well as authors and artists and playwrights and actors and all of these people who have taught us in one way or another. define it in the broadest possible terms. And the last part of our circle is right in front of us. And we invite into that part, that section, what Wang Li calls our karmic team. Those people in our life that offer us the opportunity to be our highest or better self. So these can be teachers, can be ancestors or descendants, can be random strangers or neighbors. They can also be people who give us a really hard time. They provide conflict and give us that decisive moment where we choose to engage with anger or in like mind, or to take a different path. Invite those people into your circle. I love this circle. It is a beautiful antidote to what we so often hear about our practice, our inner practices being selfish or self-absorbed. In Taoism, time is not linear, and any practice we do to cultivate our self, our higher path, reverberates backward. Our ancestors benefit, reverberates forward for our descendants. It nourishes our teacher and affects our karmic team. Today, we're just going to do a very simple breath practice that I'll go into a little more later. For now, return to the lovely structure of your body and focus into your perineum. So that is the mound of muscle between your genitals and your anus. It is the part of you that holds your organs. It is also an energetic center and porosity, and we can leak qi from that center. It can be a big problem, but luckily the solution is simple and easy. So if you have to roll back onto your tailbone so you're not putting pressure onto your perineum, that's fine. But it's an energetic practice, so the pressure ultimately won't have a big effect. First step, smile into your perineum. Use your inner smile. Send gratitude and appreciation. So we don't want to close up, to glue closed our perineum. We want it to be resilient and open and close as we need it to. And that's the practice. First, inhale and open your perineum, however your intuition guides you. As you exhale, gently squeeze your perineum. 4 more breaths. Open and squeeze. Once you've made 5 breaths, rest, stay with your perineum. Now let's do another 5. This time, the breath leads. As I inhale, that inspires the perineum to relax and open. As I exhale, I use that full body, gentle pressure to help my perineum squeeze. Inhale, it opens. Exhale, it squeezes. 3 more. And done. Stay with your perineum. Allow your breath to return to its natural cadence. And the last set of 5 breaths, allow your perineum to lead. I understand that some of this is counterintuitive. Muddle through. As we repeat the practice, it becomes more natural. Your perineum opens and draws in your inhale. Your perineum squeezes, and it starts your exhale, presses up your exhale. 4 more breaths. When done, stay with your perineum. But also soften your attention, your focus, so you're with your whole inner landscape. Let your eyes flutter open. And we're going to bring down heaven. So I end most all of my inner focus practices. Very simple. We inhale and circle our arms up. What I'm doing up here, though, is connecting with the yang qi of heaven. So in Chinese, heaven, sky, right there. Exhale, draw that yang qi through your body and gift it to the earth. 3 times, 1 for each of the treasures of heaven. That was sunlight. Let's do moonlight. And stars, starlight. Gasho, I am giving gratitude for the practices. So, what I decided to do was outline the practices and what we would do in the series, and then zero in on what we're going to do tonight, which is just little slivers. so that we can then move through a practice to the end of class rather than interrupting to describe and talk about each one. Of course, if you have questions or something I said is unclear, interrupt me at any time. So this is basically what I'm bringing together. An exploration and tools to explore cultivating our inner resources and our outer resources. Now on the daily life level, that's pretty clear. Inner resources, meaning well-nourished, rested, etc. Outer resources, I would hope that you have strong friendships and relationships, a good house to live in, etc. In the non-manifest world, that's where we get into our Taoist practices. So the energetics. The physical body is our manifest, kind of a bridge really between inner and outer resources. But then we have a Qi body, we have a mental emotional body, and we have a shen body. And we need to care and cultivate them as well. So I decided, I guess it's a year and a half ago now, I am a senior instructor with Universal Healing Tao. And that system or collection of practices is about healing ourselves. But at some point, you have to be happy with where you are, healed enough, knowing that, troubles happen, we heal them, but we live our best life as best we can. And we have to expand our heart and our attention outward to the earth and elsewhere. So the first outside we know, and I think most of us pursue, friends, family, professionals, teachers, but then the other than humans, I think we need to look at a little differently, and we will return to this. I love what Daniel 4 uses. He calls everybody people, plant people, rock people, star people, and it's I think meant to be charming, but it's also meant to disrupt people at the top, humans at the top of the heap. So these other than humans are, yes, an outer resource for us, but they also are resources for themselves who do not, we are not their center. From an other than manifest, so you're going to hear me say other than a lot because it's vague and open intentionally. Taoist practice, we use energy. We talk about energy, 5 elements, Qi, Yijing, and Shen, and we care for our energy, we cultivate it, we balance it. One thing that has been lost as the Taoists or Westerners have taken up Taoist practice is in shamanic Taoism, there are also, for lack of a better word, entities or coalesced energies. You see in contemporary Chinatown, there are altars to ancestors. Ancestor reverence is very important. They are still present. And I have a list. So animals, plants, mountains have an energy, but they might also have a spirit presence. There may be larger, less tethered presences, which you can take as energy or as entity. And then there are the elementals, large, old, and frankly, quite powerful. So you need to think about, whether it's for the evening or the 7 weeks or the rest of your life, how you wish to define and work with these ideas. What I would like you to take away, if I never see you again, I boiled it down to: don't place yourself at the top, don't place humans at the top, and don't place humans at the center. So we did just put ourselves in the center, but those are our people. Don't place humans at the center of the ecosystem, of the planet, of the cosmos. That's caused a lot of problems. Oops. So cultivating and tending, I think, are better words than healing. Last series was focused on healing, and I said more than once, a lot of times we talk about healing ourselves without even knowing what we mean by that. So if we are tending our inner resources, it's more garden than medical, and I think more gentle, more loving, and more helpful. And the word cultivating is very much part of Taoist practice. You're cultivating your energy. You're continuing to mature. In Western, or at least American thinking, we hit 21 and we're adults. That's not really the way it works. We're barely grown up. And then we have, if we're lucky, 70 more years to continue to grow and cultivate ourselves. So along the way, support is important. It's also an antidote for thinking we know everything. It's an antidote for the hyper-individualism of our culture as well. One major support for me are the traditional practices and the teachers that I've had now for decades carried on that relationship. And we can take that idea to explore the non-manifest world, connecting with guides, connecting with energies that support us. And we will go deeper into a ritual. Might even be the opening for each class, where we drop in and invite in our guides, drawing a protective circle so they are trusted. So this simple ritual, inner, and we're going to do a simple outer ritual. By outer, I mean we're going to be moving and doing something rather than visualizing and being inside, is a way to connect, honor, and ask for guidance. But the I Ching is a very old divination. It's called a divination tool. And it is also a way to connect with things that aren't physical. Different practitioners have defined them in different ways. I do think there's value into keeping it open, especially as someone who's presenting it, so that you can find your own words and ways of doing it. So yeah, I'm resisting going off into an I Ching rabbit hole, so I won't do that yet. staying with the curriculum of the course, the umbrella, the first step is that I talked about was visioning. So visioning is usually associated with young people who are starting out and they're trying to figure out the whole path of their life. Yes, it's also associated with corporations and companies who are trying to see their place in the world. I collected these images because I find them interesting. So here we have two ways of using language to help your visioning. A very cold, this is a corporate version. This is a more free-flowing version, but it is about words and ideas. And then here's one that's more image. And mind map is generally a combination of both, but it is usually more visual. And then there are, we've all heard of these vision boards. I would like you to, if perhaps not in this moment, jot down to sit with the vision of your ideal day. And take your time and enjoy moving through that ideal day. After, give it some time to settle in. Don't rush, of course, but then just take a look and see how far off you are. Now, if you have perfected your life, God bless you, and you won't have any changes. If you're like most of us, oh yeah, I could maybe, for me, I could have my coffee, which I really enjoy in the morning before I start messing around feeding cats. It's hard to resist. My husband and I do cat rescue. We have a lot of them. But that is visioning. Visioning can be small. It can be for right now. It can be a check-in. And it can be big and a very comforting and helpful support when we're making some kind of change. And the way this will be included in the course really will probably be through the handouts and then giving you more time to play with that process. Oh yeah, ritual. I love these girls. This is kind of the image of ritual, I think probably from the 1910s. But these are rituals too. Beautiful, contemplative tea making, and even moving through self-care or meal preparation can be a presence of a ritual. Often we move through these daily rituals without kind of honoring them or valuing them as much as we might. I like the simplest definition of ritual. It's taking something that's inside you and making it visible in the world. Hopefully, well, we might modify that to say something positive inside you. And there are moments of anger or frustration. I don't think they're good fuel for rituals. But my rule of thumb is starting with humility, honoring, and gratitude/appreciation. And then bringing it out in a way that I find appropriate and pleasing. And we will be playing with several types. We're actually going to do a ritual this evening. And is this the last component? Oh, well, then the physical practice. So the I Ching, this guy in the middle of casting a trigram. The trouble I have teaching the I Ching is that there are time-consuming elements to teaching it, which are just about the steps to do it, the various methods to come up with a hexagram. If you don't know what that is, I'm not going to tell you because what I'm going to do is make video, at least two. One video going through what a hexagram is, where it comes from. Super quick. It is part of the Taoist birth of the cosmos. That what we call yin-yang symbol is actually called a taiji tu. And it is a visual depiction of yin and yang in relationship. It's not a static image and it's not two-dimensional. Think of a ball that's constantly moving and turning and spinning. That is the true taiji tu. And that is the relationship between yin and yang. But like many traditions, the Taoists thought that before the universe existed, there was a fertile or a fecund void that held everything, possibility of everything. And then it started to differentiate. It was disorganized though, but light and dark, yin and yang, started to pull away from each other, and then it did become more organized until there was clearly yin and yang energy. And then it was able to make combinations. So these four are all the combinations of yin and yang energy that can be made out of two lines. So the unbroken line is yang, the broken line is yin. And then we have these 8, and these are all the combinations of yin and yang that can be made with 3 lines. This is where the I Ching exists, is birthed. And you see on the right side, we combine 2 individual trigrams to create a hexagram. And in these 64 hexagrams is existence, is thunder, is lake, is fire, is heaven. So you can see that it would take a little bit of time to really lay that out. The second video I'm going to make is going to go over the variety of casting methods. So you have to have a method that separates your ego from the hexagram, from the result. The easiest and kind of most portable is the 3 coins method, but there are a variety that I'll summarize, but I'll spend more time with the 3 coins method. And that's the one I suggest you use if this is a new endeavor for you. Any questions about what I've said at all? Anticipating some about the I Ching more than others? Okay. So our practices, this isn't a book learning. I'm de-emphasizing Qigong because I'm not going to share with you a more demanding form. that requires a lot of practice and corrections and refinement. What we're probably going to focus on is a collection of short Qigong, combining some from my medical Qigong repertoire and some from my Tao Zen repertoire. And we'll start the class with that or we'll start the practice aspect of our class with that, because we do need, when we're sitting, going inside and possibly being physically still, first we want to move our energy, lubricate our joints, and energetically warm our body. And we're going to do these in just a minute. And yes, we will. I think it's appropriate to start with shaking. So I'll talk more about that when we do it. So these are the practices that I'm mainly going to share with you. This is the crown jewel, perhaps, the microcosmic orbit. It is very simple and just brings such a wide variety of cultivation, of benefit, of positive centering and grounding to us. It takes a little while for us to do a good microcosmic orbit. So we're going to do the second one today, embryonic breathing. So these two together, I find quite amazing. The microcosmic orbit lives with or plays with the energy body, your Qi system. Embryonic breathing lives in your energy body, but it also brings in your shen, your spirit. We're going to spend more time doing it, and then when we return to it, probably next week, I will go into the shen aspect and the spirits of the body and so forth. And along with those two energy circulations, if you're working with your energy, you need to cultivate grounding. And just like perineum breathing, luckily for us, it's not tricky or difficult. And we'll also probably later in the series bring in boundary and protection practices, only because you need to kind of get your sea legs with moving energy and your focus, your meditative focus, before working with these boundary and protection practices. Just to say that once you start really working with your life force energy and moving it through your system, we can become quite porous or sensitized. So we need to be able to close ourselves off as well. Okay, let's stand up and do the Qigong practices. So standing well, just like we sit well, we want to stand well. Simply means feet are under your hips and your feet are parallel. And you unlock your knees, unlocking your ankles and your hips. Gently engage your abdomen. Tuck your chin. Tongue on upper palate most of the time. And then inhale into your heart so that you can settle it into your body. Inhale and exhale. One more time. Good. So we'll do a shortened form of shamanic shaking. Shaking is a big part of Qigong. So just use your intuition. Observe and see what your body likes, what it doesn't like. Don't do what it doesn't like. The idea is that stagnation of energy is not good. It's the source of a lot of illness and degenerative issues of chronic pain that's coming from the energy body. So we want to shake our qi. Physical body likes it, but what we really want to do is shake our qi body. Loosen up stuffiness, break up ice, and prepare stagnation to be returned to the earth. We send what we don't need to the earth, and she can reuse it. So let's use sound and intention to send. We don't have to see it. We don't have to collect it or know if we've even loosened anything. Let your body do the work and just huang, mouth closed. Shake. Good. A couple more times. So in the full shamanic shaking, it can take 15 minutes. So you will have the one class video at least where we do the whole thing, and you can spend time with it tonight. I'm packing a lot of stuff in, so we're only going to do an intuitive shaking. One more time. And then don't stop abruptly. Slow your shaking. Make it smaller and smaller until it's not even visible from the outside, but you still feel it inside. Smaller still, and you don't feel it, but maybe your cells still do. Good. Let's do another variant of shaking called horse shakes its mane. So we start by twisting or shaking our wrists. Think of screwing and unscrewing the lids of jars. And then add your elbows. Then add your shoulders. And then send everything down. Several times. Wrists, elbows, shoulders. Shake your mane. And variation of this variant, we start with horse shakes the mane, and then we add tantrum. So this is great for when you're frustrated or you're anxious and you just really need to empty some of the emotional energy back out. So we do the shaking, but then we pretend we're 2 years old and go into a tantrum. Again. So loosening, getting rid of. Another way that's a little more controlled to get rid of qi. So we're trying to clear out the old so we can bring in fresh qi. It's called counter swing. We inhale and kind of come to our full height. Exhale as if we're throwing balls in each direction. Exhale. Inhale. And turn the direction your front arm is throwing. Intention is get rid of it. Don't need it. A couple more times. Slowing down. Hands on your dantian. We're drawing in qi, which we do with each inhale, but Qigong lets us bring more intention, more effectiveness to it. Be with your dantian. This is your belly, your center of gravity. And part of your attention stays here, part broadens outward to visualize standing in a Qi field, a mist of golden light. We live our whole lives in a field of Qi. Inhale through the pores of your skin, filling your whole body with this golden mist. And as you exhale, coalesce that golden mist into your dantian. Several breaths. The dantian, lower dantian, is where we can store life force energy. Our body can draw on it. We never want to get to a depleted state. Never want to get to a state of excess either, but depletion is harder to come back from. Good. And just see your dantian glowing like your own personal sun. This is a beautiful one to do right before the microcosmic orbit. Today, the next step in Qigong would be some sort of circulation or refinement of way to make the Qi we've brought in align with our frequency. Today we're going to do swimming dragon, which is a little bit unusual. So my feet are all the way together, palms together, and I bring them down so my forearms are horizontal, one straight line. And bend your knees. Press your hands to one side and your hips to the other and look in the direction your hips go. And don't go wider than your shoulders. Back and forth to get the idea. And you can go wider if you want, and we travel up and down the energy centers or chakras of our body, crossing at each one, or you can just use your intuition and enjoy. And as you go down, of course, you have to change where your hands point. Go down as deep as your knees, come back up. Feeling the Qi settling in and enjoying the stretching movement. This is swimming dragons. It's two dragons. Think of a DNA helix, but two dragons playing between the ocean and heaven, the ocean and the sky. And then when you're up, go up on your toes and kind of straighten yourself, your spine. Exhale, come down. Good. And just stay for a moment in your inner landscape. That was a little shorter than I would usually do, but it gives you a nice variety sample of the Qigong from those two schools, two traditions. And my glasses. Okay. So what we're going to do is our last half hour is an inner ritual that ancestral medicine folks and I have started to call dropping in. And move from that into perineum breathing. Sorry, and we will return to perineum breathing for a minute because you're familiar. And then move into embryonic breathing. And then we'll come out, hopefully centered and good. And then we'll do the outer ritual of drawing the circle on the paper and going through those steps. Before we do that, have any questions come up? Any concerns? Okay, good. So part of dropping in is inviting in. The phrase used over and over again is trusted guides. Now that is a cultivated relationship. That would be surprising if you've never done that before. And we go through this one time and you have a feeling that someone has shown up, something. Part of dropping in is making sure that you have a circle of protection also. So one, I don't want you to be frustrated or impatient. The way we cultivate these things that are outside of ourselves is we go through the process over and over again. It's almost like, I'll use myself as an example. I've come almost to the end of this process of healing my ancestral lines. The way it's done is in 4 lines. Father's father lines, father's mother, mother's mother, mother's father. And you spend time. So I'm spending weeks on each one with a guide. I don't see how anyone could do this on their own. And chugging along. Then I get to my mother's line. And it's like, who the hell are you? And I had to do, the woman guiding me had to do some ritual to kind of say, hi, not a bounder, serious, and moved on. But the ancestral guide, they're usually very far back in your lineage because we want healed and well ancestors. She wouldn't tell me her name. So it's fine, nameless. And then after 4 months, she tells me her name. So this might be too woo-woo for some, clearly not for me, but I just want to use it to tell you this as an example of how it doesn't always come right away. So I've been doing this stuff for 20 years. I'm very comfortable with energetics and woo-woo, but even so, ran into roadblocks. We're going to do something very simple. And returning to what I said the very first, time, repetition is how you create relationships with humans. It's how you create relationships with other than humans. And if too woo-woo, just use it as an opportunity to meditate in a lovely circle. So, sit well. Sits bones on the chair, feet on the earth, tongue on the upper palate. Bring your mind back to your dantian, your belly. Breathe into your dantian. can breathe into your feet or use any other practices that will ground you and center you. Invite to you any trusted guide or guides that you've worked with, played with. To be present. If you don't have one or they are not coming forward, just have the intention of being open. With your mind, your intention, your visualization, draw a circle around yourself. Some traditions, it's a red circle. Others scratch it into the dirt. Whatever resonates with you, really feel it. It should not be so small that you're feeling cramped by it, and it should not be so big that you can't stay connected to it. Good. Say very clearly, can be silently, but with strong, confident intention. Only the well and well-intentioned may enter my circle. Only those I invite may enter my circle. And stay with your guides in the circle. If you feel energy or entity approaching or at the edge of your circle, ask them, are you well-intentioned? And see if you believe their answer. Any doubt? They can stay outside the circle. Stay. Stay. Ask your guides. If it's your first time, just use this to practice asking. Is there anything you need from me? Is there anything you would like me to do? And the answers can be very different, from sweep your porch to a little ritual to something big. Know that you get to say no if you're not comfortable. But why not say yes if you are? And then just listen. You can even say, I'm listening. I'm here. If it feels right, if you're comfortable with it, ask them if they could provide a clearing for you. If they could clear your energy field. And express through gesture or internal gratitude and appreciation to them. Stay in your circle, but release your guide or guides. Coalesce your focus into your body. Coalesce your focus further into your kidneys. It helps. You can rub your kidneys. Energetically inhale blue, indigo blue into that whole area. You don't have to know precisely the edges of the organs. It's the water element and the organ energy we want to connect with. And as you exhale, it's just a gentle exhale. You're not purging anything. Inhale indigo blue. You can see the water element there, and exhale. Trust that the kidneys will stay connected to your awareness. Float your attention up to your heart. Inhale a rich red into your heart. Gentle exhale. Connect with the fire element energies there. So breathe into both organs. Breathe red into your heart and indigo into your kidneys, and exhale. It's a gentle breath, not pushing or forcing. We want our fire and our water connected. The kidneys are the home of our destiny, the path for this lifetime. The heart is the home of our shen, our spirit. It is essential that we connect our destiny, our path to our spirit. If they stay disconnected, we just ramble. We never find our home. The practice is simple. Inhale and engage your abdomen as you inhale. And visualize drawing up to your heart that indigo blue, that water element. And as you exhale, abdomen relaxes. And the fire element, that red, flows down and embraces your kidneys. Inhale. Indigo blue flows up and embraces your heart. Exhale. The red of your fire element flows down and embraces your kidneys. The breath should be as natural as possible because you want to be able to do this for a while. Flowing, the visual is gentle, soft. Your fire and your water. Your mind wanders. Just return to your kidneys. Take a couple of indigo breaths there to reconnect. Go to your heart. Red breath there to reconnect. And begin again. Inhale, indigo water element up to your heart. Exhale, fire element red down to your kidneys. Good. Rest from the visual and the intention, but stay with your kidneys and your heart, with your water and your fire. can imprint our intention to make space for our shen, our spirit, and to listen, to respect that guidance. The shen is the quietest energy. And perhaps the most powerful. Let your eyes flutter open and let's bring down heaven once again. Inhale up, exhale down. Bring your hands to your heart center. Stay in the softened space we created. Find your paper. And for now, just place it on your surface in front of you. Don't rush forward. Appreciate, connect with that blank space, that vessel, which every single piece of paper is, really. And then with whatever drawing or writing utensil you have, draw a circle on the paper. It can be this big. It can be as big as the paper will hold. Anything's okay. Good. Close your eyes and reconnect with your fire and your water, your heart and your kidneys. Your heart is home to your shen, but your heart, governed by fire, would burn itself up without the water of the kidneys. You can place one hand on your heart and one on your Ming Men, which is your spine at the level of your waist. Gather in your self. Honor, appreciation for both. But I'm called to say, make a promise or create an intention to make space in your path for your spirit. Connecting to these fundamental, elemental parts of ourselves. They're also 2 of the 5 spirits we carry in our body through this life. Shen in the heart, Zi in the kidneys. And shift fully to your heart, your shen. Your shen as your guide, your shen as this most precious gift given to you for this life. People talk about needing to be centered. The heart is high, but if you can stay centered in your spirit, how fantastic would that be? Take some breaths, a moment, and I want to give you space to refine what you're going to put in that circle. We are going to then save this piece of paper so that you can draw on it when you have a need. So it can be connected to spirit to reconnect you. It can be balancing fire and water. It can be sinking spirit into your path, following Shen. And if you think you'll remember, you don't need to write it in the circle, but if you would like to write like a mantra, very boiled down reminder, place it in the circle. Then fold the paper. Fold the paper enclosing the circle. Fold it again. Because I don't trust being super precious or super elaborate, this is good enough. This is your message to your future self who may have forgotten or who may feel battered by the day and need to remember. And then after we part, you can find a place to put it. Depending on the quality of your memory, you may have to remind yourself or not. I will probably have to remind myself what it is and basically save it for later. So let's bring down heaven a last time. Inhale up, exhale down. Thank you so much for joining me today.